Hi again, everybody. I'm Pat O'Brien. Welcome back to Business Rockstars. A special guest today, my old friend, Paul DeJoria. You know Paul Mitchell, but he's involved in so many other things, and he joins us now. Buddy, how are you?
A pleasure. I'm doing fine, Pat.
We go back a ways.
We go back way back. Let's not tell everybody because they'll never believe we're still alive after all those years.
Jamaica, the Bahamas, Banff.
Yeah, all the cool places on the planet and more.
Great trips. We're blessed.
And yeah, we did them all for charity, help charitable causes up. And wasn't that nice? We had a blast.
We got to have fun.
Yeah.
We got to raise the money.
That's right.
And then went to charities.
Giving back is fun.
What's your line about giving back?
Success unshared is failure.
Yeah. Well, you're all about that, not the failure part. You got your hands in so many things now. Why not just be satisfied?
Well, one has the opportunity to do a lot of things. If you realize that and you're happy doing it, why stop? So, of course, Paul Mitchell was the first. Patron was the second big one. Rock Mobile and others, obviously, or others that came along. Just why stop? If you're having a good time doing something and you want to do it, why not? We have the ability.
What was your first job?
My very first job was selling newspapers door to door for the LA Examiner.
Wow.
Back in the early 1950s. They were a morning newspaper. And then I had a paper out so I could deliver the papers to those that subscribed.
First company you ever did?
Was Paul Mitchell.
Yeah.
And that was the one where we needed $500,000. My backer pulled out. So we started and it was $700, but it worked.
And how do you expand a business like Paul Mitchell?
Well,
how much hair products can there be?
Well, there's a lot of people, a lot of hair out there. So it's not just invention of the newest, latest technology in hair care, which is what we do constantly through hairdressers. Because remember, Paul Mitchell is only on sale through hairdressers. If you see it in any drugstore or supermarket, it's counterfeit or from the gray black market.
Really?
We don't put it there. Oh, yeah. There's such a demand, and we're only in salons. And people say, well, JP, that's stupid. If you went everywhere with your product, you'd be 5, 10 times your size maybe right now. Why do you do it? I said, because when I started Paul Mitchell with no money, hairdressers were the best people to give a product to. If it really worked, they knew it, they would reorder it and recommend it. I said, guys, I'll always stay with you because that's the best service for the customer, no matter what. Everyone says that, no one does it. I kept my word. It's called good ethics in business.
Run by that counterfeit part again?
Yeah. In any drugstore or supermarket, if you see a Paul Mitchell product on the shelf, any place other than the beauty salon industry, if it's on a shelf of a drugstore or supermarket, it is counterfeit or from the gray black market. We don't put it there. We don't sell it.
Is that your biggest business?
No. Our biggest business right now, or my biggest business right now, is Patron Spirits. Paul Mitchell is big. Patron Spirits is the biggest. So that's a $5 billion plus business.
Wow. Why tequila?
Well, back in 1989, I sent a fellow down there who went bankrupt, who I took out of bankruptcy and tried to get him into the architectural business as a partner. He go get pavers, furniture, sell it to architecture, restaurants in the United States. I said, next time you go down there, bring back a couple bottles of something the aristocrats drink so we don't have to hold our breath. He brought back these 2 bottles and it was smooth. He said, but I met this guy named Francisco Alcaraz that can make it smoother. I said, well, you know, this is great. We never were exposed to something like this. Let's give it a shot. So ordered 1,000 cases, 12,000 bottles. And before we knew it, we were in the tequila business. It was the best of the best of the best. And today it's the world's #1 ultra premium tequila.
So the key to being successful or a successful entrepreneur is listening, right?
Oh, you got to be a good listener to what the customer really needs or doesn't need. But if you introduce it to them, they think, yeah, that's a great idea if you could pull it off.
Listen,
so you got to be a good listener.
Then act.
Yeah, a good listener but act with the highest quality. Make sure your product or service is the highest quality so people want to buy it again or suggest it to other people.
Are you ever afraid to fail?
Not afraid to fail because I failed so much in my life, man, that it was okay. I was used to it. I had a lot of failures in my life.
But you got used to it?
Got used to it, and then you realize that every one of these little failures along the way is an education if you look at it that way. So you hopefully don't make the same mistake again.
How do people avoid failing? I know it's kind of a weird question.
Yeah, it is a weird question, avoiding failing, because usually when it comes along, you don't know you're failing until it actually happens. All I can say is that if something happens, that's a challenge. Let's call it a challenge instead of a failure. Well, you learn what happened and how not to let it happen again and become a better person because of it.
And not many people can recognize that, right?
Most people can't recognize
Yeah.
it. And when
all
they
of a
do
sudden
fail,
you're broke.
yeah, and then when they do fail, you're broke. You just look at, oh my God, it was that person's fault. If I did it differently,
Yeah,
it'd
well,
be great. And you dwell in the past. You don't say, that's great. I learned a lesson. Now let's move on.
What's that hat you have on?
Sea Shepherd. Very proud. In fact, I'm a Commodore of the Sea Shepherd, and
Right.
I've been on, I'm a veteran of the Sea Shepherd. Talk about conscious capitalism. I bought them a Coast Guard cutter so they could chase down some of these poachers that are,
Killing the
destroying,
whales.
yeah, killing whales, my God, and destroying sharks. They cut their fins off and throw them back in the water just for soup, and save some of these, big turtles in the Galapagos, other places in the world, and save baby harp seals from being clubbed to death. I'm a veteran. I was there on the front line. I've lived on that ship for a week at a time, so I know what it's like, and I'm very proud to tell people it's working. We're saving whales right now. We're saving dolphins, and it's working. So people can make a big difference. The Sea Shepherd's all volunteers except for maybe a dozen people, all volunteers. They want to make a change.
What next for you? You got rock, you got vet to vet, all this stuff going on.
I just think it's more of what
Seems
I'm
like
doing.
you never stop.
Yeah, well, the big campaign I have now is I made this film, this documentary, and it won a lot of awards, called Good Fortune. And if someone goes to goodfortunemovie.com, it'll tell them all about it. It's all about telling the nation, our nation, and the world that you could fail, you could be homeless, you could be fired, have the worst problems in your life, and still succeed if you believe in yourself. But more important, you treat others along the way you'd want to be treated, and you give back. That's a big secret. And you could accomplish quite a bit by having that attitude. And that's my big deal now, to get this information out.
John Paul DeJoria, my good friend. We've been in Banff, Jamaica,
Yes, sir.
Bahamas,
Yeah.
and raising money for people.
Yes, we have.
And that's what makes us feel good.
You got it.
Good to see you, buddy.
Always a pleasure, Pat. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'm Pat O'Brien, and this is Business Rockstars.